welcome to my Travel Wins podcast. Today I am lucky to have Michelle Floyd. How are you today, Michelle?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, excellent. Nice talking to you again after meeting you in December.
It is. It's crazy how these connections are made.
That's what I keep telling people. Everyone keeps saying, how do you meet all these great guests? And I'm like, I don't know, just run into people and start talking to them.
Exactly.
I'm very excited to talk to you with your background of a softball player. High school, you excelled through high school at San Marino High, went to one of the best, if not the best, colleges for women's softball, University of Arizona. Mm-hmm. You're probably up there with like UCLA and I can't even think that. Those are the two schools I know for college softball.
Yep, we're second behind them in national championship.
Oh, see? I know something about, oh my gosh. And then what I thought was really exciting to talk to you about was your time in Venezuela as a professional softball player. How was that?
Well, I only was able to train down there with the national team. So I have dual citizenship with Venezuela. And so I played with the Venezuela national team. I did 2 seasons actually professionally in Italy as well.
Yep.
And I played with the Venezuela national team in Italy, in Japan, California, Peru, Colombia, Canada, literally all over the world.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. In my opinion, you're a young person still. Is it weird to think of yourself as a retired softball player now?
Well, I like to say semi-retired because if Venezuela gives me the call and it works out with work now, then I'll go.
I gotcha.
But other than that, it's weird being retired-ish.
kind of, sort of ish. Well, and now you got a really cool job with the corporate partnerships with the Atlanta Braves.
Yes.
That's an awesome job in itself.
It's funny, too, because I've been a Braves fan since about 2008 when I came here for national championships with softball. Oh, and okay. When I fell in love with Atlanta. My first solo trip in college by myself was to Atlanta to go see a Braves game in the last season at Turner Field. And then I was told my mom the only reason I would ever move to Atlanta would be if I was working for the Braves. And then
guess what?
This happened.
You now live in Atlanta.
Exactly.
But I think it's really cool that you get to transition right into, professional Major League Baseball, coming from a professional softball player.
I feel very fortunate to have this opportunity and get to see like another side of it.
Yeah.
Again, like even though it's softball, baseball, different sports, but I'm a huge fan and I enjoy being around it. So,
did you see the dugout and the training facilities that the Braves get, and you go, God, if I would have had that as a softball player?
Oh. There's a lot of things I wish we still had as a softball player.
Well,
but they're getting there. Like if you see LSU's new facility, it's incredible.
Oh, for softball?
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of the SEC teams have really picked up lately too in the last couple of years, it seems like.
Yep, and then Arizona remodeled their stadium about 2 years ago. Of course, right after I graduated, when they remodel it.
That's the way it works.
But softball's starting to grow. Great TV coverage too. Like there were supposed to be over 2,000 games broadcasted this year, and then everything happened with the virus. So
yeah, and I don't know. I've started following women's softball even back when I was in my college days, just because I think it's more exciting. It's a smaller field, it's a quicker pitch, there's more action. Unless you get a really good pitcher, then the game becomes long.
Yeah, when it just blows it by them. Like that can be fun, and
well, yeah,
of course, like
coming from
as a pitcher, I don't want the exciting games. I'm like, if I can have like a quick, like an easy, not an easy game because it's never easy, but if I can have a not exciting game as a pitcher, I am just fine with that.
Yeah, if I was your coach, I'd feel the same way. But as a fan, I want to see hits.
Exactly.
It's just the way it works. It's just, football's the same way. Everyone wants to see the touchdowns and all that. And I played defense for 10 years, so I like low-scoring games.
Exactly.
But I hear you. What was the biggest, now I'm assuming, a strong assumption that you played club ball growing up, travel ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because travel ball is such a big sport in itself here in Southern California. What was the biggest change for you from going from high school and even club ball going into University of Arizona? What was the biggest kind of, whoa, that's different?
I would say the dedicated practice time, because when I was in high school, it was, of course, like I would have during the spring only, I would have high school practices, but I would be, because I lived in San Marino, California, and I'd be driving out to Huntington Beach or Anaheim about 3 nights a week for pitching lessons, and then fitting it in to try and go see my trainer so that I can get stronger and be in shape for going to college, and then going to practices and games on the weekend. So in addition, it was very weird having weekends for a while because I was not used to that. But having like that dedicated time in my schedule where it's like, okay, from I have class till noon, or sometimes till 1, and I start pitching on the field at 1:30. Practice starts at 2:30, and I go till 5 or 6, or if we were doing conditioning after, 7 or 8. And having that dedicated softball time where I wasn't having to commute, where I wasn't scrambling to try to get everything done, it was almost like my whole schedule just calmed down when I went to college instead of getting more hectic, which it was when I was in high school doing travel ball and lessons and training and all of that.
So it actually became more of a regular schedule for you going to college.
It did. It was less crazy and less trying to get everything done.
And do you think, because you had the travel experience, younger and then in high school, do you think that made the travel easier when you made it to college?
Well, it was the recruiting that did a lot too, because I got used to being able, because I was recruited. I committed to Arizona when I was 15 and a sophomore in high school. So I was freshman year and beginning my sophomore year, I was taking college visits to the unofficials where I have to fly myself out or drive myself out. And I got really good at doing my homework in the car or on the plane and kind of those study habits. So in that regard, the travel ball and all the traveling really helped prepare me in that sense. And then, of course, like the actual competitive level, playing with all of the top teams and competing in the top tournaments. I was very fortunate to play for some really strong club teams and against the really strong club teams.
Yeah.
So having that high level of competitiveness and that high standard that was drilled into me every time that I went to practice, and then having to take that mentality from when I was practicing on my own so I could be ready for the next practice really helped in college, but also gave me some great resources.
Do you think as far as travel goes, what would you go back and tell a high school kid now, your high school self, saying, hey, get better at studying, get better at training, get better at diet, get better at sleeping patterns? What would be the thing you would tell
I would
yourself?
say enjoy it more because there was I was a very stressed out kid. I didn't really learn, like relaxing was something that I had to learn and had to be trained, believe it or not, when I went to college because it is affecting my recovery.
Yeah.
But if I could go back, I would definitely say try to enjoy this whole experience and enjoy the travel ball, enjoy what I'm learning, because I would be trying so hard to try to improve. And I was losing myself. I was losing my sense of self because it was, again, just trying so hard and putting in all that work that I wish I had. It really took, like, I enjoyed college. I enjoyed travel ball. It took me moving to Italy to really find how much fun softball could be again, because I was so used to putting in the work and making it work that, like, I enjoyed it. Like, I was myself when I was on the field, but I would definitely tell myself, enjoy that process more, enjoy the learning more, enjoy the competition more. Because when I finally got that when going to Italy, my whole level as a ball player improved. Now, of course, that came with maturity, but
yeah,
still.
So have more fun.
Exactly. Enjoy it. Enjoy the competition.
Do you think is that just the way you are, or is that something that was, just instilled over time?
I would say a little bit of both. My dad played football at Stanford.
Yep.
And grew up on a military base and was very intense with his workouts growing up and coaching me and catching me on a bucket. Fun fact, my jersey number, college and pro, was 94 because that was my dad's college football number, and that was kind of my way of thanking him.
Gotcha.
So in a sense, that work ethic was instilled in me, but it was also kind of how I was, because that drive to be the best that I could be and to grow and to get better. Sometimes when you push so hard to get better and improve, that's when you kind of lose yourself and you lose the joy. So I think a combination of both.
Yeah, I'm here. I have 2 daughters. Both were competitive, but at different levels.
Exactly. That's like me and my sister.
Yeah, they were raised by the same parents. So it was like, how come she's like pissed off right now? And the other was like, oh, okay. They'll be tomorrow. So it was.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I think it's something you're kind of born with, because I'm pretty competitive. And my wife's like, whatever. Oh, you won. Okay. And I'm like,
yeah, me and my sister are very competitive.
Yeah. Oh, my daughters were too. Now it's cool. They're older. Now they're like, yeah, whatever. Just go have fun. So let me ask you this. Because is there any professional softball playing in the U.S. right now?
There is in the National Pro Fast Pitch League, but it kind of goes up and down of how many teams there are, because a lot of teams have shut down.
Yeah. With
the Olympics coming up, some national teams have added teams. So I think there are about 5 or 6 teams right now. A few years ago, there were like 2, 3. So it varies.
And you're definitely not doing it for the money. I mean, I don't think that is the money good in I don't know, in professional softball?
Well, it depends on the team that you go with. I didn't play in the NPF or in the U.S. What's funny is I had retired from softball and I finished college. And the only reason I originally moved to Italy was because it was more money than I was making working in Arizona, working at the university in video, and then working TV. I made more money if I went to Italy. That's why I went. But, and then my whole life trajectory changed from that. But there's some money in it. You do it because, exactly, as you said, you do it because you love it.
Well, I just don't want people thinking, oh, professional softball player, you're probably making what, $1 million, $2 million a year? Like, no.
Yeah. It was a huge deal when Monica Abbott, who's an incredible pitcher, multiple Olympian, like even with softball being out of the Olympics, that's just how long she's been in the game, and she's on the Olympic team this year. She signed a $1 million contract that was a multi-year one.
Right.
And that's the first one in the history of our sport.
Exactly.
So the unfortunate reality is that if you want to be a pro softball player, you have to have another job during the off time. So I know a lot of girls that are teachers, trainers, coaches, all the above.
Yeah, whatever they can find, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Is corporate sponsorship a big deal? Like if you get a Mizuno or, one of the manufacturers, do they sponsor the players?
They do, but those are all on personal agreements. They aren't so much with the team. The USSA Pride, that's located down in Florida, the Space Coast Complex, because they have multiple sports, they have more of a business model with that. And I do believe that they have some of that sponsorship, but like the girls are individually sponsored because that's the greatest way to get your gear shown is to have the pro girls wearing it.
Sure.
But there isn't near as much TV coverage of it. It's not on ESPN. It's sometimes on CBS. It is on Flow Softball. So it's a little bit of a limited reach, but that's where like social media and everything comes in.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it's personal sponsorships, not so much with the corporations and the teams.
I gotcha.
Hopefully that changes because that could be a game changer for the sport.
Well, it's interesting when U.S. soccer, pre-David Beckham, I think Landon Donovan was the big name, and you were probably like in 8th grade or something like that when that happened. But I remember Landon Donovan was the highest paid player on the Galaxy, and he was just like at $150,000 a year, or maybe it was $250,000. But most of the guys were making $35,000, $40,000 a year.
Right. And then being in LA, that's not going to put you at a nice, yeah.
And then Beckham
barely
came,
livable.
And Beckham's getting $8 million, $9 million a year, or whatever he was getting. And, so the disparity was like, the guy you're passing the ball to, Beckham's making $30,000 a year. It's like, I mean, there was just a huge disparity in pro soccer at the time.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's getting better and it takes time. So I'm just hoping that those positive changes work with softball too.
What was the biggest change travel wise playing for Italy? I mean, were all the games in Italy, or was it within Europe?
So I was playing the Italian Professional League.
Okay.
So they were all in Italy, and then I got hired to play like the European Cup, which that year was held in Italy, but I've gotten offers to been flying to Netherlands, to Prague. That one I actually did play for the Netherlands. But the biggest change, well, we practice really late at night. Like a lot of our practices start at 8 p.m. just because the girls have jobs too.
Okay, I gotcha.
Like you don't really make much money playing professionally over there unless you are an import player or one of the top players who can make a living off of it. But
Gotcha.
It's not something that over there they play because they love it, not because they have to, because it's their income. It's how they are paying for school. They do it there because they love it. And which also changes a little bit the dynamic of the game. So that would be it. The biggest change, like, it's kind of hard to say because, of course, it was a different country. I didn't have a car and I relied on public transportation or teammates picking me up. So I walked everywhere. And I think the biggest change, my first year I played for this team called Corona Portucella, so the Rea vendors, which is a coffee company. Okay. And we have one of the nicest fields in a coffee machine company, excuse me. And they have one of the nicest fields in Italy. Like that's where like a lot of like previous Olympic trials have been held, all these huge tournaments. And that was where I played my first year. Beautiful field. And our fans would treat us like how major leagues, like how soccer fans treat their people. So we would have people with drums. We would have the smoke going on. I have this really cool photo of me pitching through a green like smoke bomb.
Really?
Because our team was green and black.
Oh, I gotcha.
And we would have like our whole stands would be filled with a massive banner that they all made and hand painted. So they would treat us kind of how like in Europe they treat the soccer team.
I gotcha.
So the football over there.
That's
and
cool,
that was new. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, it was
kind of similar to Japan in a sense where they have a cheers for the players.
I've seen that. That's pretty wild, actually.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I was supposed to be going to Japan for my first trip in 3 weeks. So that's not.
Well, hopefully you can still go, but
we're not counting on it right now. We're still going to go at some point. But what was your favorite country to visit with all the travels you've done?
I love Japan. So I actually coached there for a month and a half with sports camps in America, and I helped teach English. The fun fact about me is I started studying Japanese my freshman year of high school and was originally a Japanese minor in college. Oh, how cool. But I couldn't finish the minor because my last class interfered with softball practice. So that's when I changed my minor to sports management. So I actually lived in Japan and I coached there. And then I went back with Venezuela on the World Championship team. And I love Japan. I love the culture. I love the artwork, the people, just the respect that they have for everybody and everything, which is part of their religion there.
Yeah.
I love it.
So
I love Japan.
Basically, you're telling me you're the person I need to talk to before I go on my trip.
I will be able to give you fantastic recommendations. I'll tell you that.
Because we're good. Our plan is to spend, I think, 5 days in Tokyo, and then we're taking the Shinkansen down to
the bullet train
down to Kyoto for 3 or 4 days.
Oh, that'll be beautiful.
Yeah, and we were so excited. My wife had set up the first Monday that we were going to be there. She was going to get the kimono outfit treatment and then go take pictures in the kimono, the whole thing. So.
They're beautiful.
We'll have to
I brought some kimonos back from when I was living over there. They took us to a kimono shop. It was cool in Tokyo.
See, that's. We'll get there. We'll get there.
You will, and you'll love it.
What's the I don't say what's the least favorite place, but what place did you visit in your softball travels that you kind of went, I'm okay not going there again? Michelle?
I know, I'm thinking about it. Sorry.
Okay. I'll give an example. I was talking to Smush Parker, who's a pro basketball player for the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
And he played in Greece. He said Greece was his favorite place. And he said Mongolia, he would never play there again because it was just cold, like cold. And he's from New York City. He's like, but Mongolia,
wow.
He goes, -20, way too cold.
So fun fact, I took a ice roads trip to the ice truckers.
Oh, did you really?
Canada, to the Northwest Territories, to Yellowknife, to go see the Northern Lights and to experience -40 and drive on the ice roads and go dog sledding. It was fun.
I was going to say, how was
Wild, it? Really cold. It was good. I went with a bunch of Canadians that I also met at the National Finals Rodeo a few years back that just became friends over the years. And every time I go to the rodeo, I see them. And then they invited me to go. And I was just teaching and training at the time. And I was like, I can take a week off. And it was incredible. Like, I have so many stories from that trip that it was just fun and cold, but fun. But to go back to your question, I think it would probably be Colombia.
Okay.
Because in Colombia, we played the Central American Games, and the ballpark was absolutely beautiful. But the issue, and then like the opening ceremonies, it was basically in a mini Olympic opening ceremonies. We have the Olympic torches and everything, the Olympic flame, everything with the interactive floor. Incredible. The only issue was, and this actually caused injuries not only for me, but for a lot of other pitchers, was the pitcher's mound there. Because while it was a beautiful ballpark, they basically Googled what a nice ballpark was, but not what goes into it. Okay. So the mound was, you had clay, then you had the rocks on top with like this netting. Ooh. With the rocks coming up, and then dirt, not packed down. Normally you do the rocks, the netting, clay on top of that, then the dirt.
Yeah.
And it actually took the pitcher from Mexico's boyfriend to get the field crews to go fix it, because we're all wearing metal cleats and we're sliding on the rock.
The net and the rock, yeah. Jesus.
It was uneven. The mound was not lined up straight. So that would probably be the place where I wouldn't necessarily want to pitch again, but like I played a tournament in Aruba, I pulled a screw out of the mound. So it's been very interesting, and I've played in some very interesting places, and I've enjoyed all of it. But if the mound isn't good or isn't safe, that's where I'm not happy.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and then just playing in South America is hard.
Why is that?
Well, for one, you have to be very careful about making sure that you're only drinking bottled water.
Oh, yeah.
And that can get pretty stressful, believe it or not, because then you're like rationing water bottles in your rooms, like even the athlete villages. And it's not just like, you don't think about it, but you don't have like the freedom to go just get a glass of water like you do here in the U.S. And then the way that they prepare food is different.
Sure.
And so for any player who hasn't really spent a lot of time in South America, it takes a little bit of adjustment. And my stomach has never liked me. So that adjustment takes a little bit longer for me.
Gotcha.
Which is just hard.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And that,
like you don't appreciate things like hot water, which like some tournaments we've had it, some tournaments we haven't had it down there. So it kind of just depends.
And those are I would think those are kind of things you would never think to ask before you start. You know, like,
no.
It's like there are some habits I have when I go to hotel rooms now. And I always check the water before I unpack. I check to make sure the water works in the shower and in the sink, because I don't want to unpack everything to find out that the shower is not working. Because then they go, oh, we'll move you to another room. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, really? So I make sure everything works, the TV and the light switches and all that before I unpack.
That's very smart.
It's the same thing, just like you. It's like when you would never think, hey, how are the pitching mounds down in Colombia before we go down there? You just show
exactly. Like, do I need to get a pair of rubber cleats? No, you don't think about those type of things.
No, not until you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. How hard was the language barriers in all the places, between Italy and then even Venezuela? And
so Japan was fine.
I was going to say, you should have played more in Japan.
And then I actually took a little bit of Spanish in college, but Italy, it was a little bit of culture shock to sit there and not have a clue what's going on.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I grew up in San Marino. It's majority Chinese there. So, like, I had the Japanese background, but then, like, going over to my friends' houses, I'd hear them speak Chinese. So I was a little familiar with it. And, like, Super Bowl, I worked Super Bowl 49. I was working with the Chinese stations as their liaison.
Well, that's awesome.
So, yeah, that was fun. That was Seahawks Patriots. But it was weird to sit there and not really have a clue what was going on. My roommate was Venezuelan and our coach was Venezuelan. And I learned book Spanish.
Yeah.
Which in college, when I dropped Japanese, and it doesn't translate well. And then Venezuelan Spanish is a little bit different than like Mexico Spanish.
Right.
So if you're talking like Caracas people speak very fast and I have trouble following them, but I can follow people from Valencia because they just naturally speak slower. So it took some time. I love languages, so I worked on it, though my Spanish is still absolutely horrible. But when I was in Italy, my teammates were laughing because I was apparently the first American who was trying to learn Italian on like their first day there.
Really?
And fun fact, whenever I go to a country where I don't speak the language, I learn, of course, like hello.
Yeah, the basics.
Goodbye, thank you, bathroom. And the outside word that I always learn is tall. Because I know that's a really funny one, but a lot of people come up to me just randomly, like even in Japan, and would comment about my height.
Well, for my listeners, Michelle is 6'3".
Yes, so. I'm 6'3". Yes. And so I would always learn how to say tall. Like I'd be in the Italian grocery store.
Yeah.
And I'd have an old lady walk up to me like, oh, alta. And I'm like, si alta, like, uno, like, 94, like meters.
Yeah.
And they would be like, oh, and they would start going Italian. I'd be like, no parlo italiano.
That's all
like
I know.
Japanese said, like, segatakai, like, my big thing was I had to be able to say tall because that's what people would say to me.
That's pretty awesome, though. At least they're not offending you.
No.
They're calling you something. You just don't know what it is. But if you know the word for tall, then you're good.
Exactly. And then it just makes it so I can break the ice. I can smile a little bit. And like the Venezuelan culture, they like, if you're skinny, they just go like flaca. Like they don't mean it offensively.
Right.
Or anything like that. And I know like when they call me tall, like it's not offensive, but here in the US, people, like I have some tall friends, I would take offense to things like that. And so for me to learn the word and then kind of have a little bit of that cultural understanding after speaking with my teammates and the people I'm around, it helped quite a bit going from different country to country. Which is a funny thing. You don't really think about that, but
at all. Yeah, no, I think I told you at NFR is I have a friend that lives there, and she's a stand-up comedian. She's 6'5", and
I love it.
And we'd go out, and it's just Krista. It's like whatever, But it was amazing. Everybody would just be like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Really?" Like, I don't know. It was bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'd be going walking, like even down at Santa Monica Pier, I had people trying to take like slide pictures of me. Like just being so tall, and my friends.
Yeah, Chris is the same way. Everyone
normal and short.
Yeah. Well, and especially I think maybe in Vegas it's more because a lot of people are drunk, so they lose their inhibition even more so.
Right.
It was almost always the girls. A lot of the drunk girls would always come. Can I take a picture with you? She's like, sure, I don't care. And she was on a show. it was a TLC show, my Tall Life or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And the other girl that was on was 6'7" or 6'8". So she roomed up.
I have some friends from college that were 6'7" and 6'8".
And she was 6'5", and she played basketball in college. And but she incorporates it into her stand-up comedy really well now, and she seems to do pretty well with it. She says she gets.
Well, I'd love to check her out.
Yeah, I'll send you the link on her.
That'd be great.
And it was, like I said, I've just never been around. I don't think about it. So all of a sudden, it's like people out of just everywhere would just come up and want to take a picture with her. So we'd have to stop. It's like, oh, wow.
It slows you down. You have to have some extra time when you go to different places.
Well, but like I said, in Vegas, drunk people just like, oh.
Exactly.
And she said that's the only people that kind of gets to her, the drunk people. They forget to be polite. So,
exactly.
That's all good. Well, I was going to say in Japan, that must have been a big thing for you.
Very much so.
A 6'3" blonde athlete walking down.
And they're used a little bit to the taller men just because they're men and pro sports and everything. But being a tall woman, I definitely got a lot of looks. And then even more looks when I'd pull out the Japanese.
We started learning, konbanwa, Ohio, all the basics. And now we're just like, now we got to wait.
Well, it gives you more time to learn a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
like sushi o onegaishimasu. I would like sushi, please.
we want to learn, I'm not even going to say embarrass myself. We want to learn like, sorry, excuse me. Where is this? So we'll get there. We got time now.
Exactly.
All we got is time. How much do you think technology helped you in your travels? Meaning,
it was huge.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, besides being able to stay in touch with my family, I did my master's degree with the University of Illinois online. So when I was playing Italy and around, I literally did my master's degree in 9 countries.
That's awesome.
So it was huge. And then fun fact, and I don't know if you know this or not, but when you go to Japan, if you have an iPhone, you can't use Apple Maps. You have to use Google Maps.
Yeah, Apple Maps told us that, yeah.
Yeah, they get so confused. So I would literally just go on Google Maps and try to find something new. And would walk around. My first year I was in Milan. I would just walk around Milan with Google Maps out and try to find something. Or I heard of a place and I was going to take the public transportation and walk there. In Japan, it was really nice because Google Maps would give me the prices for the trains.
Oh, nice.
So I'd be able to put enough in for the subway and everything with that. And so technology was huge. Quite honestly, I wouldn't want to do all the travels I've done without our level of technology now, which sounds kind of bad, but
no, a lot of old people like myself, we tend to complain about technology, this and that, and phones and nah. I'm like, look, you guys, back in my day when I was your age, I'd go to the airport to find out if my flight was on time or not.
Exactly.
And I'd show up and go, and they'd go, oh yeah, you have a 2.5 hour delay now. It's like, oh, why couldn't you tell me that? Because there's no way to find out. Now I'm getting text messages on my phone, throughout the day that they're running behind schedule. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then
exactly.
I'm watching movies. I'm watching live TV on my phone on the airplane going to Denver or whatever. It's like, hold on. Technology is awesome.
Oh, it is. Definitely.
I actually loaded up a translation app just for my work at NFR.
Really?
Because a lot of Brazilians were coming in. Because of the bull riders, and their families would come in and shop, and I don't speak Portuguese, especially Brazilian Portuguese. And
right.
So I would just have them, and I had a couple from France this year come in that spoke no English, but they were all decked out. I mean, they came for the rodeo, and
I love it.
So I had them talking to the phone, and I'd listen, and I'd go, oh, it's buy 2 get 1 free shirts, jeans, and then it would translate, send it back to them. It was awesome. So that's technology.
Oh, I love it. If you want to, this sounds so bad. When I was in college and I was in Spanish and in my Spanish, because I don't know why, but just for schedule wise, we put me in kind of the advanced Spanish classes where they took 2 semesters and put it in 1 semester. So it was very fast paced, and we would have these in class writings. And you couldn't add sentences, you couldn't write words in English. So when I didn't know the word, I would write it out in Japanese. Like I couldn't think of the word book. I would write the word hon in Japanese and just write HON. And I would know that, like, okay, that was my Japanese. So when I went back to fix it later, I could go on to Google Translate and translate it from Japanese to Spanish, make the correction, wouldn't lose any points.
That's awesome.
So I don't know if that's breaking the system or not, but
hey, break it till they fix it. Heck,
exactly.
Heck, I'm good with that. That's awesome. I like that. Wait, do you expect any travels working for the Braves and what you're doing?
Well, we were down at spring training, and that was kind of it of what I'm expecting with them.
Yeah.
This is a year position too, so we'll see where I go after it with them. Like if I'll stay with the Braves, if I'll go to another sport, an agency. I love traveling, and I'm currently trying to figure out when like I can go to Dublin again next because I'm on the East Coast, so it's a much shorter flight.
Yeah, it's
and a lot cheaper
hours.
Flight.
Yeah,
and I love Ireland, so not so much with work, but I'm still going to travel as I can.
Well, sure.
So it's just hard with everything right now with the quarantines and no international travel and shutdowns.
Tell me about it. Yeah, well, we'll get there again. I mean,
exactly.
It's going to be a blip on the map of the world. You know, it's 4 to 8 weeks, and that's out of the millions of years of Earth's been here. This is just a reset button. So Control Alt Delete.
Exactly. It's like life goes on. Yeah. Like life isn't going to stop with it. Like I've been working from home right now.
Yeah.
Like life goes on.
Got no choice. Right. What's the best way for you to fill up your time when you're traveling? This is my last I always ask people, because for me, like I listen to a lot of music, whether it's I'm on a plane or, and I drive a lot for my job. So, but how do you fill up your time? Is it watching movies? Is it doing work? Is it, I know you got your master's while you're traveling a lot. So that filled up a lot of your spare time.
For a while, I would connect to the Wi-Fi and I would watch lectures and take notes.
Yeah.
And then I'm very far behind on these, but when I would travel, I'd love to make like these little 1-minute travel videos. And so I would edit those. I love working on my computer and having a chance to be creative. I would draw and watch movies, but something where I can be creative, or I would sleep, because that's when you catch up on sleep is on flights.
Were you able to? Were you able to sleep on flights?
I am a master at falling asleep everywhere. And that's from travel ball, because with all the driving we would do, and I would stay up late doing my homework, I would fall asleep to my dad blasting NPR or his radio
or whatever. Yeah.
KNX 1070. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And so I just learned that if I need a power nap or I need to sleep, I can do it. So I sleep on a lot of my flights.
Yeah. I still have a hard time. I don't know why. I just have my oldest daughter, as soon as she gets on the plane, she's falling asleep.
That's usually me.
And my younger daughter's like me. I'm tired. I'm like, hey, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. So I'm always doing
my mom
something.
swears by the Advil PM for those ones.
Exactly. And your mom's a nice lady too. So.
Thank you. Yeah. She's great. I miss her.
Do you think is that the hardest part for you, is when you're away, is being away from friends and family and all that?
That would definitely be it. Because I'm the type of person, I can live anywhere and I'll build a life and make it work.
Yeah.
Just from all the times I've had to do that, of just moving back and forth between countries and the U.S. But that's where technology is so great, because I'm very close with my parents. and with a lot of my friends. So I'm able to keep in touch with all of them, which is the important part for me.
Good, yeah.
But it would definitely be being away from them.
That's the, do you think, I'm trying to put this in the right way. With where you're at in your professional career, how much are you willing to do a job that you don't like if it provides you travel?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I'm very much a person where, like when I was substitute teaching for a while, I became a long-term, in between, I was training to go back to Italy, and I became a long-term sub for a photography and film class.
Okay.
And then I enjoyed that, but that took a lot of learning and figuring out. Then when I was working with English middle school, wasn't enjoying it. Like, great teachers, great staff, loved working with them, but just that level of teaching was not something I woke up happy to do.
Right.
And I know it became very irritating for my parents.
Okay.
Just because I would be coming home very annoyed. And so, like, I'll figure out ways to travel. Like, even if it's just, I need to go explore Atlanta. When all this is over, I plan to just see where I can go a 2-hour drive. Where will that take me? Maybe I'll find something cool. But I need to be able to come home every day feeling satisfied with what I'm doing. So.
I got you. I mean, I had the same talk with my daughters. My daughters are about your age. They're 24 and 26. So
I'm like right between them.
Yeah. And I have the same talk with them. You know, my younger one's got a really cool job, and she's had some cool jobs, but they didn't necessarily pay well. But she enjoys the crap out of it. So I'm like, well, it's the trade-off, kind of,
Exactly.
For me, I love what I do, and I make good money, and I get to travel. So it's kind of a win-win. But
you're just living the dream.
Yeah, it took 30 years to get to that dream. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I always told my daughters, I go, look, you can't look at somebody that, I interview a lot of. It'd be like somebody watching you going, gosh, she's so lucky she gets to go to Italy and play softball. I'd love to play softball. How many hours and how many pitches did you throw to get to that level to where you could play in Italy?
Years worth.
Years.
Yeah. Absolute years worth. And that's missed birthday parties. That's missed time with my family. So it comes with its sacrifices.
Exactly. And it's just like my job now. It's like I'm on the road anywhere about 110 days a year. And
wow.
I thought that was a lot until I started talking to other people, like through my podcast. And, I talk to musicians that are on the road 270 days a year. I'm like, that's 9 months. They're like, yeah, we're home about 3 months a year. A week here, 2 weeks here, But that's what they do is if they're not touring and gigging, they don't make money.
Exactly, and it's pursuing their dream of where they want to go.
And his name's he goes by Big Sandy, but his name's Robert, and he goes, I've never had a job. He goes, ever since I graduated high school, I've been a professional singer, and he's 56, 57 now.
Mm-hmm.
He's never filled out an application.
He hasn't worked a day in his life.
Nope.
That's what Coach Candrella would say, just because he loves coaching so much.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's the trade-off. But for him to keep the job that he loves, he has to be on the road 9 months a year.
Exactly. So, which comes with its sacrifices.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, 4 or 5 months I'm on the road. It's like, man, it's not bad. What's I appreciate the time. What's the best way for people to follow you and stay in touch with you or see what you got going on?
I would definitely say my Instagram. It is Michelle M. Floyd. And then I also have a professional Facebook page, which is just Michelle M. Floyd. I try to keep it simple. But that's where I post updates and where things are going and stuff like that. Travel videos, all the above.
Jogging videos.
On Instagram, yes, not on Facebook.
That was this morning. I'm like,
it was. I did 5.5 miles today by the Chattahoochee River.
I'm like, well,
if I'm quarantined, this is how I'm going to spend my lunch break. I'm working from home. I got to get outside. Like from playing an outdoor sport my whole life, I'm not doing well stuck inside all day.
Chill on the same boat. I mean, I always tell people I drive for a living and I do appointments in between because I like being on the road, you know? And so like I took my dog for an extra long walk. He's like, hey, I'm getting tired. I'm like, no, we're good. Come on. Like if I'm on the street in California with my dog, it's okay.
Exactly. As long as you're social distancing.
Yeah. I have to social distance and I have to be doing an essential service or whatever. And walking your dog's one of them. So my dog's going to get a lot of walks. I need to get outside.
Your dog's going to come back so healthy at the end of this.
He's going to be like, look, I'm jacked for summer. I'm ready.
Dog summer bod.
Yeah, he's a dog summer bod. And he's already napping, so we're good. Well, I appreciate the time, Michelle. Enjoy your working from home and your time with the Braves. I can't wait to see where you end up. That's going to be pretty awesome.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I'll definitely stay in touch and tell your mom I said hi.
Definitely. I'll be sure to pass it on.
All right. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.